Hi, welcome to my channel. I have been really into reading the past like couple of years and really into Booktube, okay? Not so much book talk, and I will say I'm not huge on TikTok or really social media in general that much right now, but I'm getting into it. And Booktube is one of the things that has me, okay? So I decided I wanted to go ahead and dive in by doing I have a few like reading segments in my vlogs that I've already posted, but this is my first actual book focused video, so here we are. So I wanted to go ahead and do like a book tag or like a, I don't know, top books of 2024 for me type of thing. I think I really wanted to go more of the book tag route, so I'm gonna look for something online to kind of help me out here. So let's do 2024 book tag. Is that a thing people like still do? Okay, this question. Okay, let's see. There's a few options here. End of the year book tag. Are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? Okay, for me, once I start a book, typically I finish it. Like, I am not one to be like, did not finish. I don't do that typically. But this year, there was a couple that I didn't finish. That I do like, okay.
Mama, I have a joke.
You have a joke? Okay.
I'm gonna read you a joke.
Okay.
Because I just ate a popsicle and a popsicle had jokes on them.
Can you read that?
What kind of balls don't bounce?
Ooh, what? Can you read it? Man, that's really, let me see. Snowball! That's good. That's a good one.
Get back to book talk.
Okay, so now, there's a couple books that I started that I didn't finish, and it wasn't because I think it just wasn't the time. I started Dunes, or Dune, is it Dune or Dunes? I started that, the first book of that, because I've heard so many great things about it, and obviously there's the movie now that people love, and I think the second movie has come out too now, and I know there's multiple books. They're so long, and there's a lot of world building because, you know, it's a whole world. And I was listening to the audiobook and trying to get into it. And maybe it was because I was listening to the audiobook. Maybe I just wasn't like feeling the narrator or something. I don't know. But that was one I couldn't get into and I didn't finish. And it's very hard for me to decide like I'm not going to finish a book. Because once I start a book, I feel like I need to know how it ends most of the time. The sun is setting right now, so the lighting is like not super bright, but anyway. But that one was one I just couldn't do. I don't know why, I just couldn't finish it, but I feel like I need to, so I guess that qualifies. Oh, my battery is about to die. No, hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. All right, so yeah, Dune, I need to finish that one, but it's not going to be 2024. Maybe 2025 I'll get back to that one and I'll get the actual physical book and I'll read it and get into it, but this was not the year for that. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? Okay, so this is a nice way to talk about 2025 releases that I'm excited about. Okay, so there's one in particular that I'm like waiting for. Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. I absolutely adore the first two books in the Skyland series. If you've read those, you know what I'm talking about. The characters are amazing, all of them. Like all the supporting characters, because they all have their own like spin-off books, but even from the first book you just fall in love with all the characters and you want to know more and you want to know more about their story. And so the fact that she went back and made books for the other characters, because the way that she wrote them, you just fall in love with them. So it's just really exciting. I love Before I Let Go. I own that already, so I have a copy. Hold on, let me grab it actually. Okay, so these are just some of the books that I actually bought and have physical copies of that I read this year. So my reading goal every year is 50 books. I hit my goal. I actually just reached it yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, and so that's super exciting. So I read 50 books this year. Now some of them were audiobooks, but I do believe listening to an audiobook counts because you're observing the story. You can talk about the story. I can tell you about the characters. I read the book, okay? But most of the books I do actually read, and I either get the physical copy from the library or I read the ebook on my phone. I don't have a Kindle yet. I'm not quite there yet. I do want one. It's on my Christmas list. However, I don't have a Kindle right now, so I just use Libby on my phone to read ebooks, and I did listen to a few audiobooks this year as well because I drive a lot, so when I'm in the car I like to listen to audiobooks now, which I never thought I'd be that person. I've always been a music person in the car, music only, always. No podcasts, no audiobooks. I didn't understand why people did that. I was like, but I got really into watching YouTube videos, like sit down talking YouTube videos that were basically podcasts. And so then I kind of got into podcasts and I got into reading, and I'd be like, dang, I really want to like continue reading this book, but I have to like drive somewhere right now. And so then I was like, I got Spotify and I was like, let's see if it's on here, and I'd find it and listen to it in the car, and that's how I kind of got into audiobooks as well. But I did read 50 books total this year so far. The year's not over yet though, so that number might get bigger. But so Before I Let Go is the one I was talking about before I got distracted and wanted to grab all the books. That's this one. Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan is an absolutely beautiful book. It's a scorching novel about hope and healing and what it truly means to love for a lifetime, from a powerhouse writer, which I agree. Adore Kennedy Ryan. I actually bought another one of her books today from Target.
Yeah, she was in the book aisle for like 30 minutes. Mom,
Yeah.
all of these are like words.
What do you do?
I know bobcat's a word.
Bobcat is a word.
What?
This one is, do you know what this one is?
Zebra.
They all make words, so you can keep going.
Back to book talk. By the way, I can't believe that my mom agreed to get me a Stanley from Target.
Yeah, so yeah, she got taken home from school by her dad, and they left her school water bottle at her dad's house, and it hasn't made it back over here yet, and she needs a water bottle for school, obviously. So we were at Target and we were looking in the water bottle section, and that's the one she liked the best. So
Not just because it's trendy, just because it's really big and
it's big.
It's some colors.
Keep her drink cold. It's not plastic, and it has a straw, which she likes.
Back to book talk.
Yeah. So that's the book I'm really looking forward to, is Can't Get Enough, which is the third book in this series, but this is the first one, Before I Let Go. Amazing. I have been waiting to get This Could Be Us, I believe is what the second book is called, and I love that one so much. Soledad is like such a sweet character, and I just love the journey she goes through in that book, through like self-love and dating herself, and just it's kind of a slow burn, which I love how patient the love interest is in the book, and just how sweet he is with his son. And oh my gosh, everything about it was so good, and everything about this one was amazing. This one was really good too. This one is like a second chance love story, which I love. I didn't realize I liked that. This is like, I think, the first second chance love story. No, it's not. That's a lie. That's a lie. But one of the like first second chance love stories I read, and it's super good. Life delivered blow after devastating blow. Yasmin and Josiah Wade found that love alone couldn't solve or save everything. It couldn't save their marriage. Yasmin wasn't prepared for how her life fell apart, but she's finally starting to find joy again. She and Josiah have found a new rhythm, co-parenting their 2 kids and running a thriving business together. Yet, like magnets, they're always drawn back to each other. And now they're beginning to wonder if they're truly ready to let go of everything they once had. Soon, one stolen kiss leads to another, and then more. It's hot, it's illicit, it's all good, and so old wounds reopen. Is it too late for them to find forever? Or could they even be better the second time around? So good. Love this. There's so much in this story. It's a romance, but there's also so much going on in this book that I feel like just calling it a romance is like not giving it all the shine that it deserves. Not that romances alone aren't amazing, because that's what I love. But I think this covers so many topics that it's like even more than just your typical romance, and I think that's why I liked it so much. On top of it being about Black characters, Black love by a Black author, we love all of that. So this is one of my top books I've ever read, actually. It's one of my favorites, I'm gonna be real. So I'm really excited for the third book.
Mommy, I did it right this time.
You got it? Good job. Nice. I love it. So good.
And we also got this first grade notebook form. Just
Yeah, it's a cute little workbook for Zari. Of course, I had to get her a book too.
back to book talk.
She's doing her own version of book talk in her room. Okay, so yeah, while I was at Target today, I went ahead and got Real, which is an older book by Kennedy Ryan that I love. I read it already. I just didn't own it. I borrowed it from a friend, and she owns it, and I borrowed her copy, but she had like tabs all through it, and it was, you know, one of her favorites, and I was like, okay. And I understand why. Like, after reading it, I totally get it. It's such a good book, and I'm really happy to own it and support. This cover is different than the one that my friend had. It's like metallic, which is kind of cool. I like it. I liked the other cover a lot though, like the indie cover that, like, before I guess it was republished, but this one's really pretty too, and I just wanted to support Kennedy Ryan because she's like one of my favorite authors right now. So I have 2 books by her now. I will be getting the other 2 books from that trilogy, but that was one that I'm looking forward to for 2025 and that I absolutely love. Let's see what else this little thing says. Have you started making reading plans for 2025? I absolutely have. My want to read list on my Goodreads, which y'all should follow me on Goodreads. I don't even know what my name is on there. I'll put it in the description. You guys should follow me on Goodreads, and I'll follow you back because I absolutely love getting recommendations like based on what other people want to read and what they're reading. And so let's look at my want to read. Let's look at some of the ones I've recently added. A lot of them are Christmas books just because it's, you know, it was that time of year, so I'll skip over those. But oh, so there's one, a YouTuber that I've been watching a lot recently has been recommending in like every video, and it's Lipstick and Camera Clicks. And I actually just added her on Goodreads because all of her recommendations seem really good. She reads kind of the same genres that I do. I'll put her channel down in the description as well because I can't think of her name right now, but I've been watching like a lot of her videos, which she posts very regularly, like multiple times a week. So if you like that type of stuff, you should check her out. But Lipstick and Camera Clicks is a book that she has recommended very highly, and so that's on my list. Elevator Pitch is another one. Done and Dusted seems really good. It's very like romance heavy, like the cover and everything. The Kings of Sin like series has been on my list, and I want to read that. I've been getting more into, okay, so for next year, for 2025, I've been wanting to get more into different genres than I usually read. So for me, my go-to genres have been romance, because that's what I started with when I started reading again as an adult. I dived into romance first, so that's kind of still one of my top genres. I love romance and like rom-com type novels, but I also really just like fiction in general. Like contemporary fiction is really nice, and I love like self-help books and stuff, parenting books. I've read a few parenting books and just self-help, kind of more spiritual-ish books. I've got this nice little ghost glow going on. But like The Power of Now, and right now I'm reading like You Are a Badass. So just those types of books as well. But I've been diving more into like thrillers and mysteries and things like that as well, which I've been really enjoying. Especially I started during fall because it's kind of spooky season, at least in my book, it's spooky season. So I was reading like more fantasy, thrillers, mysteries, things like that. And so that was really fun. So I want to get more into different genres this year, and also kind of reading according to the season that it is. Because I feel like that was kind of cool as well. Reading like a thriller on Halloween, you know, like I just feel like it just makes sense. So, you know, so I want to branch out from romance. So any recommendations anybody has, I'm open. But yeah, so that's my plan for 2025, is to branch out a little bit and read a little bit more than what I'm usually comfortable with. Okay, so I guess those are the questions. But now I'm just going to talk about my year of 2024. My year in books, okay, on Goodreads. So I'm gonna go to that. Again, you guys should follow me on Goodreads. Okay, so it says I read 19,346 pages this year. 50 books so far. The shortest book I read was 192 pages. That was What a Time to Be Alone by Chidera Egeru. I don't know if I said that right, but that was a nice quick read. And I think I just listened to the audiobook of that one. So it was really quick and it was nice. It was recommended to me by a girlfriend of mine. We've met through like being single moms. We met online kind of just through that, and she recommended it to me, and it was a really good read. It was super quick and I enjoyed it. And then the longest book I read this year was 757 pages. It was A Court of Silver Flames. Okay, so I just recently finished this book. This was one of my last books that I read this year in 2024. I know I'm late to the Court of Thorns and Roses train, although a lot of other people are hopping on the bandwagon late as well, so I don't feel bad about it, but I loved it. Okay, I loved the entire series. It's a good series. I mean, I think everyone knows that by this point though, so I don't really need to tell you that, but it is. I really enjoyed it, and I think that A Court of Silver Flames was my personal favorite, actually, just because I thoroughly enjoyed Nesta's character arc. I enjoyed watching her like forgive herself and the people around her and just kind of like become human again. Not human, but you know. Not human, but just become, like, grow into herself and become like accepting of who she is now and loving who she is and being loved, letting herself be loved by not only the love interest of the story, okay, Cassian, who's I would love to see in real life just what that man would look like, or whatever male would look like, okay, but also like her sisters, like letting Thera and Elaine love her, and the rest of the family that they've, you know, created over there in the Night Court. It was just beautiful to me, and I really enjoyed it, and of course it was quite smutty, which I myself do enjoy, and not when there's like too much of it. Like an example of a book that I feel like had too much, like a pointless smut, was like Verity by Colleen Hoover, however you say her name. It was not my favorite. I don't have that book. I haven't bought it yet, but I do plan on it. Once I get an actual bookshelf, it's over, okay? I'm very excited because right now I'm using my TV stand as a bookshelf, and it's not a bookshelf, so it doesn't hold that many books. But I don't have that many books yet, so it hasn't been a problem. But I've been trying to rack up on the books, and since I am such a reader now, I like to have the physical books, and so the library has been amazing for me, and I've always loved the library ever since I was a kid, but especially now as an adult who loves reading, it's so much more cost effective to just go to the library or, you know, get the ebook or something rather than going out and buying every single book that you read, especially if you don't know if you're gonna like it or how much you're gonna like it. So like I have bought books that I've already read. Like there's only been a couple books that I've bought. For example, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I haven't read this one yet, but I just bought it today because it's been recommended to me so many times, granted usually by my high school students. So I don't know how good it's gonna be, but I have heard like grown women talk about this book too and say it's good. So I got this one because, you know, Target, 20% off, and it wasn't expensive already, even without the discount. So I got that one, and then I got this one because I've read it already. But I saw this because I love Abby, okay? Abby's my girl, and I saw this, I think also at Target or somewhere, or maybe, no, this was at Barnes & Noble. And I saw this and I picked it up because I think one of my friends who like is also an avid reader, she was talking about this book, and I love Abby, and I saw it, and so I grabbed it. So I think there are times where I'll buy a book before reading it, but only if I've heard like really good things about it and want to read it really bad anyway and like can't get it at the library. So Bride is another one I got from Target, 20% off. Loved this book, okay? If you know, and apparently she's making a part 2, but there's other books that are coming out before part 2 of this comes out, but if I remember correctly, it's on its way, and I'm very excited because this book was surprisingly good. This is something that was out of my comfort zone a little bit because there was like the aspect of them like not being human, and you know, the vampire werewolf dynamic I've never really been into. I was not a Twilight fan growing up. That wasn't really my thing. Now if you were, more power to you, but that was not my thing. So I was like, I don't know about this. But yeah, this book was really good. It took me by surprise because I was not expecting to like it so much with the whole werewolf vampire thing, but it's good. It's about a vampire bride in an alpha werewolf form a dangerous alliance in this enthralling new paranormal romance, which is so like not something I would have picked up if it wasn't Allie Hazelwood. But it was, and it is, and it's so good. So this was a good one. If you haven't heard of it or read it, it's so good. That was one I picked up before reading, and I don't regret it. So what else have I read this year? The average book length was 386 pages this year, which is not really bad, which is probably why I read so many. The most shelved book that I read, that like the most popular book, I guess, was A Court of Thorns and Roses. Of course, loved the entire series. I read the entire series this year. Least shelved that I read was Very Intentional Parenting by Destiny Ann Davis. She is a mom, parent coach slash influencer that I absolutely adore because she's gorgeous, and I love the way she goes about explaining things, and it just makes sense because for one, I mean, she's a black woman, and so I just feel like I can relate to her on a lot of different levels. But also she's a single mom, which I can relate to as well, and she's trying to, you know, she's not trying, she's doing great. She's doing the whole gentle parenting thing, which is what I'm working on as well, and it's not easy to do when it's like not how you were raised. What? Did you mess something up? It's okay.
It's 10. I can't use it.
You can just.
That's why the school always says to use pencil.
That is what. But you can go get a pencil if you want, if you can find one. Okay. But anyway, she is like into the gentle parenting. She's really good about giving you actual practical things you can use instead of just being like, I love explaining why gentle parenting works, why it's good, why I guess you should say conscious parenting, because I don't know, gentle just doesn't sound as like effective in my opinion, although that is technically it's what it is, but I like the word conscious parenting better just because. Anyway, love her content. So she had put out a book and I was like, okay, absolutely. And I read it and I really enjoyed it. So if you're a parent who likes reading parenting books or is wanting to be a gentle parent, this is a really good book. And it really gets to the main issue of it, which is you as a parent, like as a person, and like you feeling safe and you realizing that, you know, like what your triggers are, realizing that, you know, your emotions need to be regulated in order for you to be able to regulate your child's emotions, and that your job is not to keep them happy all the time, but to help them learn how to feel whatever emotions they're going through. And so it's really good stuff and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, the book I read this year that was the highest rated on Goodreads is A Court of Mist and Fury. Again, with the series, it was a big part.
She loved it.
Again, I loved it. It was a big part of this year for me in terms of my reading. But all of the books, I don't know, the brightness is way too bright for y'all to even like remotely see this. All of the books I read this year are right here. You can't see that, but so good. So yeah, we have Things We Hide from the Light. First of all, Lucy, okay? Lucy Score. I really like her. I read this entire series, the Things We Hide from the Light series, and before I read that, last year I read By a Thread by her. Loved that book down. It was thick. It's a thick book for a romance, or just thick book period. It was thick, but I read it all and fairly quickly too. I ate that up. Loved that book. I thought it was so like funny and there was a lot of smut, but it was just super cute and I really enjoyed it. It was one of the first books I like got back into reading with and I adored it. So that whole series was really nice to me, Things We Hide from the Light. I read The 7-Year Slip at the beginning of the year and I really enjoyed that one too. That one I wasn't expecting, and it was the first book that I read that was kind of that like fantastical realism, like, you know, like just magical stuff happening, you know, in the book, but it wasn't necessarily a fantasy book. It just had that like small element of magic and I really enjoyed that. I thought that was super, not small element, it was a pretty big element of the book, but you know what I mean. It wasn't like a whole fantastical fantasy world. It was just a magic room or a magic, you know, a magic apartment, and I thought that was really cool. The concept of that was really cool, and how it was like set like every 7 years and stuff like that. Just was, it was really good and I enjoyed that. If you haven't read that one, I highly recommend it. The Unhoneymooners was super funny, super cute, lots of, like, if you're into the witty banter and like the enemies to lovers type story, that's a really good one. It's a good one to read kind of like in the summer, I think, or like I guess spring or something too, but I just feel like it's a warm weather type book, and it was really good. Atomic Habits, I read that book again. I think I had read it before, but I read it again this year, and I'll probably read it again another time. That's another one I want to actually buy and have my own copy to notate and stuff, because if you haven't read that one, there's a lot of good tips for just creating good habits and breaking bad ones, replacing them with ones that are more healthy. And I enjoyed it. It helped me a lot. I was working out consistently and stuff last year, like at the end of last year, beginning of this year, when I was like reading this. So it works. The strategies in that book are very good. I read It Starts With Us because I read It Ends With Us last year, and I don't think that book was really needed, to be honest. I think it was a really long epilogue, I guess is kind of the way I would put it. But I was happy to see the main character of that book have a happy ending, because she deserved it. And that book is close to my heart just because of the content, not because I think the book is amazing, because I honestly don't, if I'm being real. Please don't crucify me for that. I know that's probably not the most popular opinion, but I don't love her books, so there wasn't anything to like write home about. But the topic was something that rang close to home, so I liked it. The True Love Experiment, that one is a Christina Lauren book, and I think it's the part 2 of that one. I think it's the Soulmate Equation is what the first one is called, and then the True Love Experiment is the second one. So I read the second one this year, and I thoroughly enjoyed those books. I liked them. I know not everyone that I've heard talk about those books loves them, but I did. And I love just both the main characters. This one's about the best friend. The first one is about like another character, and this one's about her best friend. Love both of them, and I think the concept of you being able to find your true love, like your match based on your like DNA and stuff like that, really cool. I mean, do I think that should actually like really be a thing? Probably not, but I think as a book concept, it's really cool. I read another Christina Lauren book, Something Wilder, which is very different for me than what I would normally read, and it was pretty good. Abby Jimenez, I read Yours Truly.
Mom, you're gonna help.
Yours Truly, that whole series, super good. I read the whole series. Only When It's Us, I forgot about this one. Only When It's Us by Chloe Lizzie. I don't know how to say the last name, but I'll put it on the screen. Very good book. I read I Am Malala this year, which was really good, obviously. I knew it would be. One Italian Summer was one that I was a little surprised that I liked so much. I don't know why, but it was a quick, easy read too. Very short. I have it because my coworker got it, I guess, for a book club she's in, and then after she read it, she just was like, here, do you want this? So I took it, and it sat on my shelf for like a year, and then I finally picked it up and read it, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really sweet. Her spending, I won't talk too much about it, no spoilers, but the city in Italy that she spends her summer in, is that a real city? Because I really want to try that. Like, I really want to hit that place up, because the way she wrote about it made it seem like such a beautiful little town, and I'm like, I want to hit that up, because I'm planning on going to Italy in 2025. So I'm gonna have to have my one Italian summer. Okay, I'm very excited. This year I reread The Children of Blood and Bone, the first two, because the third one was coming out this year, and so I think I just listened to them, the audiobooks this time, but I already do own the first one. This is the first book in the series, Children of Blood and Bone. Beautiful cover art to me. I really love the dark skin with the light eyes and the white hair. Super pretty. All the covers are gorgeous for this book, the whole trilogy. So I really want to get the second one, and I do still want to get the third one so I can have the full set, even though I'm not gonna lie, the third one was not as good as the first two. I'm gonna be real. It was a little rushed to me. It didn't feel fully, you know, fleshed out. Like, I feel like it was just kind of rushed, but it was still good. And I think like it was still like I think I gave it 4 stars. I think I would have given it more of a 3.5 if I could, but I liked the first two so much I went ahead and still gave it 4 stars. But I will say this first book, especially the first two, and I think you should still read the series, even though I do think the third book, the ending is just a little bit, not like it's a bad ending, it's just a little bit anticlimactic, I think is the way I'd put that. Yeah, but I did reread these this year and I still highly recommend, especially for like young adults. That's a really good young adult book. I read The Power of Now this year. I got kind of into my spirituality, I guess, a little bit. I read The Summer I Turned Pretty, which I forgot I read, so it wasn't that, didn't make that big of an impression on me, but I think it was decent. I don't remember that much about it. I read The Song of Achilles, finally. I've been kind of hearing so much about this book for a while that I was like, okay, I'm gonna see what this is about, okay? And it was good. And speaking of like gay stuff, so I also, at the end of this year, I read 2 gay books, 2 more. I read Red, White, and Royal Blue, which is the one about the Prince of England falling in love with the first son of the United States. It was just a really good book, and it was recommended to me by that YouTuber I was talking about a second ago, who is in the description. I forget her name, but yeah, she recommended it and said that it was a good representation of what the world could look like if it was a little bit more accepting and diverse and inclusive. And I agree. I think it was just super nice, like, first of all, to see like a woman or a Madam President in the book, and you know, and the kids like being, they were mixed with like Mexican or something. They were like half Latino kids in the White House, and just how cool and smart the kids were, you know. It was just really good, and I loved the dynamic between him and like the prince, and how just, it was also kind of like a enemies to lovers type story. And I was like, I read it really fast. I think I read that book in 1 day, maybe 2, but I think it was 24 hours that book was done, and it was really good. I enjoyed it. It was just a really fun read, and it was good. I enjoyed it. I got through it really fast. It made me laugh, and it just made me feel good. So that was a good one. And then I also read Call Me By Your Name. That was actually the last book I read in 2024, so far at least. And I wasn't expecting to get through it so fast. I read that one in like 1 or 2 days as well. That was an audiobook, and I think part of the reason why I listened to it so fast is because the guy who narrated it, who is also a character in the movie, his voice is so nice. It was just so nice to listen to. And also the way the writing in this book is just actually beautiful. I caught myself multiple times being like pausing the audiobook to be like, the way he just said that was beautiful. That was so well said. Like, it was very, very well done. I really enjoyed it. Now, I will say, the age gap in the characters gave me pause. Okay, the age of the younger one compared to the other one gave me pause, I'm not gonna lie. But I do think it was a beautiful story and very well written, and also again made me really want to go to Rome, Italy, somewhere in Italy, and just live there for a while, because it was just gorgeous, the descriptions and everything of where they were. It was just such a good book. Another one I read later in the year was Fahrenheit 451. And I know that's a classic, and I had heard obviously about the book and knew what it was about, but I hadn't ever read it before, and it was really good. It made me want to watch the movie. Same with Call Me By Your Name. I was like, I want to watch this movie now, because for one, the narrator's voice, he's like the character in the movie, and it just serenaded me. It was a beautiful voice, and just the story was so beautiful. And Fahrenheit 451, I know there's been several, I don't know several, but I know there's been at least a few like movies and things made about it. And I know there's one with my man Michael B. Jordan in it. So that's the one I'm trying to see. That's the one I'm interested in. But I know that one's kind of like a retell of the story. So I wanted to read the actual book first, but I do definitely want to watch that movie now. Okay, I have a few more. It was a really good reading year for me, actually. So I didn't realize I had
She read 50 books.
Yeah, I didn't realize I had so much to say. Because yes, I read 50 books, but they were like really good books, okay? Like for instance, I'm working my way backwards now from like the end of the year back up to the beginning of the year. And recently I read another recommendation from the YouTuber that I keep bringing up, that I keep not remembering her name. So sorry if she ever sees this, which she probably won't, but I will put her in the description down below. She recommended this book called Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson, and I do have that one. Hold on.
So she's running.
I know, so I'm trying to hurry up because this video is actually taking a long time, but I just have so much to say. Okay, so it's this one. It's called Grown. First of all, I love the cover. I just really love the cover and the earring and how the title is like in her bamboo earring. But this was a really good book. She says in her like author's note that it's not about R. Kelly, it's not about him specifically, but it is a book about like young girls being sexualized and being forced to grow up way faster than they should, especially young black girls, unfortunately. And it was a thrilling book. I honestly, this is another one I read in like one day. This one for sure I read in 24 hours. Like I did not even get to actually read this book because I left this book at home and the day I wanted to read it, so I downloaded the ebook on my phone and my computer, was reading it on my phone and my computer that day and finished it that day. So didn't even read this actual like copy of the book that I got from the library, but I'm happy I have it so I can show you guys. This book was really good. It's a young adult book, but it is pretty heavy. There's lots of, it is pretty heavy. So, you know, discretion is advised, but it is a young adult book. So I would have loved it when I was in high school, so I'm sure others would. I think it is important for young girls to be aware, you know, that there are really bad people out there that will take advantage of them. And unfortunately, that's just the world we live in, and I think it's important that girls are informed.
Yes, my mom's saying stuff like that.
Thanks, babe. But yeah, I read all of the Court of Thorns and Roses. I read that entire series, so including the novella, like the little Court of Frost and Starlight. I read that as well. I bought this book from Price Books, I believe, because it's so pretty, but I actually ended up reading it this year and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's Emma. It's a classic. It's Emma by Jane Austen. So it's Emma by Jane Austen, and this is a beautiful copy of it. I mean, it has like the gold pages and the ribbon bookmark attached, and it has like all the flowers on it. It's just so pretty. It's so pretty. And so I read this. This is another one I also mainly ended up reading like on my phone, the ebook on my phone, because I didn't want to like carry this around everywhere. But I really enjoyed this book. This girl is, it was just funny to me. There was a lot of like, she was such a little nosy meddler little thing, but it was cute. I enjoyed it. What else did I read this year? Yeah, so The Housemaid. I finally read The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret. I read them back to back, and I read them also very quickly. The Housemaid, loved. I was like, there were so many like twists and turns, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I know a lot of Frida McFadden, is that how you say her name? I know a few of my friends enjoy like a lot of her books, and so I've been wanting to read these ones specifically for a while, and I got my hands on them. They're hard to come by in my library because she's a popular author right now in the thriller category, which is like I'm saying, I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone and read more stuff besides romance, and this was one of them. These thrillers were quite good. Yeah, these were really good, and I know I've heard that The Housemaid's Watching, or whatever the third one is, I've heard that one's not the greatest, so I probably won't even read that because but I want to end it on a good note, so I'll probably just not read the third one because I've heard bad things about it. Plus I'm kind of over it, to be honest. But I know her and Enzo, and never mind. No spoilers, no spoilers. Okay, also, okay, so Bridgerton season 3 came out this year, 2024. So I watched that, and I also read like the season 2 book, the second book, The Viscount Who Loved Me. I read that, and it was really good, and I'm planning on reading the rest of the Bridgerton books as well. One of my friends so kindly sent me copies of all of the books besides the first one, I think. But I think I have all the other ones, so I'm gonna have to get into that. I gotta talk about Iron Flame and Fourth Wing, okay? I read both of those this year. I read Fourth Wing first, obviously, and was honestly shocked by how much I liked it. Like, I really enjoyed it. I am into dragons now. I feel like I want to ride a dragon someday. Wishing they were real. Definitely enjoyed that book. There's just so much in that book, and the love interest, like Xaden is just everything. Okay, everything. Love that. Like, hit enemies to lovers story, like that's like the best one, I think. So good. And then just the action and the way it's written just makes it feel like a movie in my brain, which if they don't make this into a movie, what are they doing? I feel like it would be a great movie, but also I don't want them to ruin it. Like, at the same time, I feel like it's so good that I don't want them to make it into a movie, because what if it's not good enough? Same with this one, Children of Blood and Bone. I heard that I think Paramount Pictures bought the rights to this book to make it into a movie or something. I hope they don't disappoint me, is all I'm gonna say. Okay, but I think it's gonna be beautiful, and whenever they start casting for it, they need to hit me up, because whatever part they need extra in the background, I don't care, but I want to be a magi in this movie. So whoever I need to contact to make that happen, let me know. I'll have my people reach out to your people. But there's more books I read that I didn't mention. I read Unconditional Parenting. I read Things We Left Behind. White Rage, which was a good one. A good, like, historical nonfiction book about racism in America, which always gonna be a good read. Always gonna be a hard read, but a good read. The Simple Wild, Only When It's Us. I read All About Love by Bell Hooks. You guys, I finally read that book, and that is one of the books that I wish I would have read a long time ago. That is a book I wish I would have read a long time ago before I ever said I love you to anyone. Yeah, that book is very good. It's sitting, a couple more books that I've been talking about that I actually do have sitting over there, so I'll just show you. But we have The One Italian Summer. That one is surprisingly good. Really good read, feel-goody read. I think it'd be good in the summer. It Starts With Us was more happy, bubbly, obviously, than the first one. It's not so happy, but that one, these were both gifted to me by my coworker. And then All About Love by Bell Hooks. Other authors will quote this book or like talk about this book in their books, and I love, like, when I see that, or when I see that in general, like when people talk about like Pride and Prejudice or just like other books are mentioned in someone else's book. I just love that for some reason. I'm such a nerd, and when I see cross references like that, it really makes me happy. Like in This Could Be Us, which was the part 2 to this one. The main character in that book is reading All About Love, and I loved that because I had literally just read All About Love right before I read that book, and so it just made me really happy. But anyway, it was just really good timing with that, and she was going through some similar things with like dating herself, self-love, all that good stuff, and I really enjoyed it. But that is a book everyone should read. Everyone. What else? The Power of Now, Bride, Children of Virtue and Vengeance, Samurai Turned Pretty, The Song of Achilles. I read The Alchemist, finally. I read like the graphic novel of The Alchemist. Romantic comedy, that wasn't my favorite, but How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen, that's a parenting book that has some really good tips in there. But Everyone Feels This Way by Paige Lyell, about like autism. Educated by Tara Westover. That book was crazy, and after reading that and then seeing all of the unschooling TikTokers, and I'm not going to get into the commentary about all of that right now, but it was wild. Okay, after reading this book, Educated, seeing parents willingly and purposefully like pull their kids out of school and say that they're like gonna let them pick their own education was wild to me. Okay, so I think I covered pretty much everything when it comes to what I read in 2024, and there's lots of things I'm looking forward to in terms of reading for 2025. But again, I think my goal is going to be 50 books again, and I'm going to be going over a lot more of my reading journey here on YouTube and probably other social media as well, once I finally get brave enough to get into other social media as well. But yeah, so if you're interested in being a part of my reading journey for 2025, make sure you subscribe. If you're a bookworm like me and you really like reading, you should definitely subscribe. You should definitely follow me on Goodreads, and you should definitely give me some recommendations on what my next read should be. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up, comment down below some books that you read in 2024 and that you're planning to read in 2025 so I can copy off of you, obviously. And follow me on Instagram. I post there occasionally. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.